Welcome into Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. I am Tom Downey. Today's show is presented by ButcherBox. Take the guesswork out of buying high-quality meat and seafood with ButcherBox. And they're giving you a fantastic deal just in time for Thanksgiving. A free turkey, 10 to 14 pounds. That's a big-ass bird. With your first order, ButcherBox.com/NFL Daily. Use promo code NFL Daily as well. Coming up on today's show, we've got some trade rumors. We've got some injury news and notes as well for the Steelers and the Miami Dolphin games. And maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, a potential breakout corner. Got to stay tuned for who that is, though, later on in today's show. Let's get into the injury news, though, first and foremost. Tua Tagovailoa and the concussion. Seems like he is going to make his return this Sunday. Got to fully do all the protocol stuff that sometimes takes a week, sometimes less than a week, sometimes more than that when you have the fencing imagery and you already had the one concussion that you swore was a concussion, but whatever, it definitely was. Seems like he's going to return for the Dolphins against the Steelers for Sunday Night Football. Now, Mike Tomlin had some updates on his two guys with concussions. Quarterback Kenny Pickett remains in the concussion protocol, but it sounds like his practice work will not be limited. If he can play, Tomlin said, he will play. The expectation is also that tight end Pat Freiermuth, who missed last week's game, is cleared for Sunday Night Football against the Dolphins. So there is still some uncertainty about who will play at quarterback. Kenny Pickett has shown some flashes, some turnovers as well. And I'll make note that the concussion protocol is the protocol. There was a concussion for Kenny Pickett, but if you're not showing a lot of post-game symptoms at all, you can make a much faster return. That was not the case for Pat Freiermuth. He missed more time. Feels like Pickett's concussion, since there are degrees of concussion, right? As we sit here on Tuesday, doesn't appear that bad. Maybe there'll be symptoms later, but it looks good for Pickett. Trubisky, meanwhile, after, let's call it what it was bad when he was a starter, suddenly came back in and played really well and helped the Steelers pull off that upset. He's a big reason why they won that football game, and maybe it gives you more confidence in going back to Trubisky, who, of course, was already benched once this year with maybe not the sideline or the locker room blow up with Diontae Johnson, some uncertainty around that front there. What you don't want is a second concussion for Kenny Pickett. That can cause real issues and sideline a player for even longer. So, knowing there's probably some doctors watching, but we're not doctors. What do you think? Should the Steelers play it safe and sit Kenny Pickett? S for sit or P for no, he's good to go. Play him. It's the pinned comment on today's show. Head down there and sound off S or P. The NFL trade deadline is just around the corner and things starting to get a little bit juicy. You love to see it, right? And there are some interesting trade rumors and ideas and players linked to Pittsburgh. To trade for, to trade away. First up is trading for cornerback William Jackson III. There was a report that he demanded a trade. Then that was disputed by Jackson. Ron Rivera didn't want to talk about it. There's clearly something up with Jackson and the Commanders. He was hurt for Thursday Night Football against the Chicago Bears. Clearly some buzz and whispers he doesn't want to be there. The amount of specific reporting as to why Jackson wanted to be traded, allegedly, makes me think he wants to be traded, right? And Pittsburgh is in need of cornerback help. Now, Jackson's not been good this year. Let's be clear on that front. But you need help. Ahkello Witherspoon, Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace banged up, and it's not like the corners, especially with no TJ Watt, have played that great overall. And we got some more trade stuff to get to, but first, today's show, like we mentioned, is made possible by ButcherBox. The meat you buy at the grocery store, to be honest, it's not exactly high-quality cuts. Not the problem with ButcherBox. They take the guesswork out of finding high-quality meat and seafood. Free shipping, by the way, for the continental U.S. and no surprise fees. Makes your life easier. You're getting good meat delivered right to your door. Or seafood like baby Olivia, my child, my 11-month-old, loves seafood. My wife does not, but baby Olivia loves it. I've got no problem giving her ButcherBox, and I feel much more comfortable doing that than I do the salmon you get at the grocery store. Not always quite the same there, right? And ButcherBox is offering you a fantastic deal. The main course for Thanksgiving dinner can sometimes be the main source of stress, unless there's some coin toss debates going on there. But not anymore. ButcherBox is offering our listeners free turkey with their first order. Sign up today at butcherbox.com/NFL Daily and use code NFL Daily to get one 10 to 14 pound turkey for free in your first box. That's butcherbox.com/NFL Daily and use code NFL Daily to get the deal. Links in the comments and in the description. All right, next trade rumor. How about trading for Shaq Thompson? Carolina may or may not be in full-on fire sale mode, although I don't know if all the good young pieces, right, Derek Brown, Brian Burns, are going to be available. Shaq Thompson could maybe be available. Getting a little bit older. He's got a decently sized contract. Affordable, though, for the Steelers if they want to go that route from the contract perspective. And has been a consistently impact player at linebacker. And I know how many of you guys feel about Devin Bush, although, hey, he made a couple decent plays last week at long last there. Hey, Devin Bush and a pick for Shaq Thompson? Who says no? Maybe it's still Carolina, but it's at least worth considering, I think, there. Good run support player, good athlete, can do some decent coverage stuff. Has been at his best this year, by the way, in run support, which I think you need it for Pittsburgh. Now, if and when the Steelers make a trade, we're going to rig it down for you guys here. Hit that big red button and subscribe for free videos right here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. It's youtube.com/Steelers TV. Now for some trade away pieces. Mason Rudolph mentioned in a rather lengthy ESPN article about how, Trubisky's your captain, Pickett's your current guy. We're back to where we've been this entire time of maybe somebody wants Mason Rudolph. I think the Niners were mentioned specifically, which, cool, let's do it. Niners and Rams. Thank you, producer Jeremy. Let's do it. Also, the Rams are a mess. It's not the quarterback's fault. He's been bad this year. Rudolph, I feel like I've repeated myself ad nauseum on this show. He is who we thought he was, right? He's a backup. He's not a great backup. But, John Wolford for the Rams, Brock Purdy for the Niners. I think Mason Rudolph's better. So if there's an injury, makes a lot of sense. If a team wants a better backup, I think Mason does check that box for a few teams. Now, ESPN also mentioned Chase Claypool as a trade chip, which we mentioned on yesterday's show. So I wanted to go in a different direction more speculatively here. The Packers and Aaron Rodgers kind of made a comment today about how, I trust the front office to add some talent. Their receiving corps sucks. It is garbage, and it's a big reason why the offense is so bad. Diontae Johnson, amid the maybe didn't happen, maybe did happen, locker room blow up with Mitchell Trubisky, has not been that productive this year. Again, I think we can blame some quarterbacking involved there. So, producer Jeremy Chugg wanted to get creative on this one here. If the Packers get desperate and they offer you a second and a future sixth-round pick for Diontae Johnson, knowing you save a little bit of money this year and a bit more money next year, would you do it? Would you trade a second-round or trade Diontae Johnson for a second-round pick? Let me know in the comments section who wins the trade. GB for the Packers, PIT for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Unleash the George Pickens at long last, which that team really, really needs to do. We teased a potential breakout corner. About Josh Jackson. Former second-round pick out of Iowa, was a bust in Green Bay, but I thought actually played pretty well, filling in against those very dynamic Bucs receivers with injured Ahkello Witherspoon, Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace. The Steelers were desperate to find more corner help, and they turned in the end to Josh Jackson. And overall, I thought in that game in particular, he at least showed enough promise to make you wonder whether or not maybe Josh Jackson can have that nice little breakout year. So, treat this kind of like, radio show style for me. Go down in the comments and have a bit of a sports talk radio debate. Will Josh Jackson have a overdue, maybe for a second-round pick, breakout year? Let me know in the comments section. Now, I will cite the PFF grades here for Josh Jackson. And it kind of annoys me when they do the grades and then the numbers don't match up. So Josh Jackson got a 60.4 coverage grade this year, 61.3 against the Bucs. He was targeted 4 times, allowed 3 catches for 33 yards. I don't know. I think that's really good. He's been targeted 7 times this year. He's allowed 60 yards in coverage. It's one of those moments where the PFF grades don't really align with like what the stats say. That their own stats, by the way, to be clear. Yes, he allowed 1 touchdown, had 1 penalty against the Bills. I thought was much better in week 6 than he was against Buffalo. But for the expectations coming in, apologies for no photos, by the way. They're just no one was taking photos of Josh Jackson, as it turns out, at the game, at least that aren't grainy as hell. I was pretty pleased in the end with Josh Jackson. Now, Ahkello Witherspoon last year, emphasis on the last year part, was really good for Pittsburgh. Maybe your dream outcome, if it is a slight stretch, but there is talent, second-round pick, right? Was a baller at Iowa with takeaways. Maybe Jackson can be your nice surprise corner breakout like Witherspoon was last year. Fingers crossed, at least. That is the end of today's Pittsburgh Steelers talk. If you made it to the end, you are a real one. So head down there, type in "Here we go," and I'll make sure producer Chuggs show you some love in the comment section. Not so fast, sweetheart. We got some news to break down as well coming across right as we finished filming, so we edited it a little bit. Some practice squad moves by Pittsburgh. Josh Malone, the receiver, formerly of Tennessee, both the Volunteers and the Titans. Running back Jason Huntley added to the practice squad. They cut Scott Nelson as well, so some minor practice squad shuffling that we did want to at least mention because that's why you guys subscribe for Steelers news and rumors right here at Steelers Talk.